If we haven't had the chance to meet, my name is Chris. I have served as one of the pastors here alongside Craig. Really excited to be with you. This has been a long time in the making of what God is doing. So I'll share a little bit of that story today with you, but really honored to be a part of what God's doing here in Temple and excited about what he's doing. I do want to address something that I didn't address last week. In the midst of all the chaos, my brain got lost, so I apologize. It's back. We're good. But I do preach without shoes on, so that might be weird. For some of you who know me, you're like, yeah, of course you do. But not everybody knows me, guys. So we're going to let you guys into my world for just a moment. About 20 years ago, God called me into ministry full time, and I knew that this was what I was called to do. And I was heavily influenced by a guy named Wade Morris, who back in the day was known as the barefoot preacher. When I gave my life to Jesus in 2001, he was the one who was preaching. And he talked about how he didn't wear shoes. And I was always flabbergasted, like, why would you not have shoes on? It's so weird to do. And he gave this illustration, and it stuck with me. And when God called me, I said, well, I'm going to do the same thing. Joshua and Moses have these encounters with God. Exodus chapter 3, Joshua chapter 5, where they're standing in the presence of God. And God tells them in those moments to take off their shoes because the ground they're standing on is holy ground. And what's interesting to me in that learning all of those pieces was I could go walk on the same dirt that Joshua and Moses and the Israelites walked on. That dirt is still there in some way, shape, or form. So what changed? The only thing that changed was that the presence of God was there. And so as I've stepped on the stage, if I'm singing, if I'm praying, I'll remove my shoes in reverence of the fact that I hope and pray that God is here, that his presence is among us. And so I'm just removing my shoes in expectation of God to show up. And so I just want to, it's not a weird thing. You don't have to take your shoes off. It's not that kind of church. You know what I mean? I know it can be weird for people. It's fine. If you're like, hey, I'm not a foot person. My eyes are right here. It's fine. Just look at me. All right? I do want to, I know some of you guys came in a little late, so if you want to follow along, all of our notes are on YouVersion. You can do that there. It's totally fine. You can save it for a rainy day. You can add your own notes in there. It's totally fine, but I just always want to give that opportunity to do that. We live in the world of large expressions of love. We like to watch videos. We like to see these massive moments of love displayed to one another. I'll say for myself, I loved preparing the proposal to my wife. It was one of my favorite things to do. It had been, I will say this, I didn't 100% nail it, but I'm going to tell you guys, I did a pretty good job. We had been dating for about 9 months at that moment. That's not true, 6 months at that moment. And I knew that I was going to marry her from the moment that we started dating. I told her, I will never date you unless I know for sure that we're going to get married. And so 6 months later, I was convinced, I knew it, was only affirmed more. I bought the ring pretty close to us starting to date. And so I was just sitting, waiting for the moment to arise when I could do it. And so I began to consider, what can I do? How can I make this like a memorable moment? We had met about 5 years earlier. We had met working at a kids camp. I worked as one of the directors helping run the camp, and she worked as a camp counselor. And so oftentimes at night, I would sneak over to her cabin, and we would sit out on the porch, and we would just talk. And we became the best of friends. And so in that moment, I was like, okay, well, how am I going to propose to her? So I concocted this plan. How awesome would it be if the first place we ever met becomes the place where we seal the deal, where we know we're called to be married together forever. So I concocted this plan to go to her favorite restaurant, Red Lobster, and we sat, we ate, and I had a buddy of mine. I told him at 7 p.m. on the dot, call me, and then we're going to leave and we're going to come to the cabin. And he goes, great. So it's 7 o'clock, no call. And I'm sitting there going, I don't know how to fake a phone call well enough to get this to where I need it to be at. So I text him, hey, don't forget to call me, please. You're kind of you're running the show right now. I can't do it. I'm going to sit here in Red Lobster and eat biscuits until you call me. And so 20 minutes later, he calls me and he goes, hey man, so sorry. I was calling a baseball game, but I'm free now. What did you need me to do? And I go, bro, doesn't even matter. I'll see you there. And I hung up. And so my wife, well, at that time, girlfriend, looks at me and goes, what was that? And I go, I got to go up to camp. I have to fix something. She goes, are you kidding me? It's our date night. And I go, I know, but we got to go. And so angry Renee, which is not a fun Renee to be around, full transparency, kind of back you up 5 days from this moment in time. I had driven to Gaffney, or her hometown, Gaffney, South Carolina, and I had met with her mom and dad. And I had just said, hey, I'd like to marry your daughter. Is that cool? And her dad asked me one question. You're going to have boys or girls? And I said, I'm praying. I know the first child we have is going to be a boy. Here's his name. He goes, good with me. I have all girls. He had all girls. And so he was like, I just need a boy. And so the young man I just led is my son, my oldest. And I named him in college. I knew it was going to be his name. And then he was, sure enough, our firstborn. And he said, good enough for me. And I looked at her mother, who can't keep a secret if there was $1 million on the line. It doesn't. She's the worst. And I looked at her and I said, Cheryl, listen to me. If your daughter catches wind that I'm doing this, I will not propose. And she goes, okay. Now, a little context. Renee's mom calls her every day, 75 times a day. Until she answers the phone, she will keep calling over and over. I mean, incessant calling. She talked to Renee 0 times that week. Didn't even call her. To the point where Renee's like, are you still alive? She's like, I'm great. I'm fine. Renee's like, we're sitting together going like, I don't know why my mom's not talking to me. I go, me either. That's crazy. You know what I mean? So on Sunday, to throw Renee off the scent of being proposed to on Saturday, I told her, I'm not 100% sure that we should get married anymore. Now, hindsight, I get it. I know what you guys are feeling. I feel it too. Why would you say that, bro? I don't know, guys. I was young and dumb. I was just trying to figure out how to throw her off the scent. It worked. She was pretty irritated all week long with me. So coming to Saturday, I get a phone call. She goes, are you kidding me? Now you're not sure if you're going to marry me. Now we got to go all the way up to camp? Are you joking me? So I go, babe, it's going to be fine. Let's just go hang out. It's going to be a good time, whatever. So we drive all the way up to camp, which is out in the middle of nowhere. We're up on top of a mountaintop. It's really beautiful. And I had my best friend and my brother had set up her cabin with like flowers everywhere. And then on a chair sitting straight in front of her when she walks in the door had a little book on it. And that was it. And so she walks, we get there, we walk down to the cabin. She's like, well, that's weird. The lights are on. I wonder why the lights are on. I go, I don't know. That's crazy. So we walk down. She opens the door. And she sees this single chair. She goes, what is happening? I go, I don't know, babe. Go up there and read the book. And so she goes up, and inside of the book are page after page, like here's where we first met. And it's just pictures and little stories. It's just picture. It's kind of a picture book, how to get to the finish line. It's like, here's where we first met. Here's our first date. Here's the first time I met your mom. Like all these things that I know would be important to her that like we go all the way through. And then the very last was a picture of that chair with the setup. And I said, this is where I propose to you. And, as she's reading it, she turns around. She goes, what is happening? And I'm on one knee, and I have the ring out, and I go, will you marry me? And she says, what? And I go, will you marry me? She goes, yeah, you're right, yes. Woo, yeah, we did it. So we get married. It's fantastic. We love, I could lock you into that story all day long. It's fantastic. Last night, we went to Longhorn. We both ate steaks, and then we came home. Now, one sounds incredible, right? One goes like, bro, that's a story to tell. The other one, we decided about 10 minutes before we went to Longhorn that we're going to Longhorn without the kids. We went and spent a gift card. We ate great steak. We came home. Now, listen, the reason why I say that is we oftentimes chase the big expressions of love while negating the simple ones. The reason that Renee knows I still love her is because of Longhorn last night. Do you know what I mean? She doubts this one a little bit. No. It's those simple micro expressions of love that affirm he still loves me. It's the text in the morning. It's the, I'll make your water bottle for you. Nope, Siri, don't talk. Sorry, she got really confused what's happening. It's all of those micro moments along the way that make you go, he does still think about me. He does still care. And the reason why I bring that up is oftentimes I think in the Christian world, we chase the big expressions of love while negating the simple, small measures we can do every single day without having a big church around us, without having a big, the simple micro expressions of love. It's my daughter sitting at a red light going, can I give that homeless guy my leftover food? A simple expression of love. And we oftentimes negate and forget those moments in life, and we chase after the big moment. And when I was beginning to dream about, God, what do you want us to do? How do you want us to act? What do you want this church to look like? He began to just lay out for me this simple expression of love that God has called us to. Back in 2011, I knew God had called us to plant a church. I just didn't know where. We thought in that moment it was going to be Baltimore, so we chased after going to Baltimore, Maryland. God shut that door. And when he shut that door, we began to think, well, now what, God? Like, what are we supposed to do now? Just go work somewhere? So I did. I just went and slung chicken at Chick-fil-A for 4 years. And I sat under a really healthy pastor, and I learned how to pastor a church and how to plant a church from this pastor. And I just sat in silence. I didn't preach. I didn't travel. I just served chicken, and I sat with this guy for 4 years. And then God placed us back into full-time ministry, and I was a family pastor for another 6 years, and God moved us down here. We began to work here in Douglasville for the last 6 years, and then God closed that chapter, and he opened up another chapter at Chick-fil-A, and I sat in silence. And I'm still singing chicken at Chick-fil-A. It's great. Come see me sometime. A lot of you probably have seen me. You don't even know it. Like, I'm at Chapel Hill Road. Don't go to Highway 5 or Fairburn Road. They're trash. Jordan, pay raise. And so I say that because at the end of it all, I sit and I go, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do in the silence? What do you want me to do in this moment where all I'm doing is going a number one with a sweet tea? Would you like to make that large today? That can feel like a defeating season. And yet it was a season where God expanded my horizons again, opened up my eyes to say, hey, stop chasing after the big expressions of love and begin to experience the micro ones. Begin to see me in the daily. Begin to see me in the small things. Stop chasing after these massive moments of the fiery bush where I tell you to take your shoes off and just take your shoes off and expect that I'm always present. It was such a beautiful reminder for me that, hey, God is in our midst regardless of if we want him to be or not. God is present with us. And he's constantly kind of poking us and pushing us to stretch us, to make us a little bit more uncomfortable. And I love the fact that for us as believers, we get the opportunity, the privilege to display the love of Jesus. In 2011, I read a book by Francis Chan called Crazy Love. And this quote, go ahead and throw it up, Chris. This quote threw me for a loop. It said this, that God's definition of what matters is pretty straightforward. He measures our lives by how we love. This is the expectation that God has on us. How are you loving me, first and foremost, the vertical relationship? But then also, how are you loving your brother and your sister? How are you loving your neighbor? How are you loving your enemy? How are you loving the ones that I've surrounded around you? Now, it could have been easy for me to come in to a place like Chick-fil-A and just do my job and leave. But I chose not to do that. I chose to come in and to love our people well and to care for them well because that's what God called me to do in that season. Where has God placed you? He's placed you in a workplace. Maybe he's placed you in your home with your children full time. Maybe he's placed you out traveling day in and day out, hopping on a plane and doing whatever. In the moments where God surrounded you with people, what are you doing? What steps are you taking to display the love of Jesus to people? And out of that, we kind of came up with this concept in 2011 of this idea of being a church called Live, Love Church. That we would be a church that lives like Jesus lived, that loves like Jesus loves, and that would be sent into the community just like him. So I want to share with you the vision. The vision of our church is simple. Make disciples who live, love, and send like Jesus. And I'm going to talk about all three of those in the days ahead. So we're not going to spend the whole day talking about word by word, but if you keep coming back, I can promise you you'll understand all of it. But I want to walk you through it really quickly. That we would be a people who first and foremost live like Jesus. We're doing a series, I think starting in September-ish, maybe beginning of October, called What Would Jesus Do? We want to begin to live like Jesus lived. We want to begin to love like Jesus loved. So how do we do that? We look at the life of Jesus. And we just go, hey, what did he do? Let's do that. Let's just begin to model what he did. But also, Jesus wasn't a stationary being. He was sent. He understood that he had a mission and a purpose. And he says in John 20, just as the Father has sent me, so I am sending you. So we've been sent. So what does send mean? I love this. Go to the next slide. My wife, we were sitting at Longhorn last night, transparently speaking, batting around one particular word in this phrase, which is the word send or sent or go. We had a bunch of them going around. Craig was right to start with, and he doubted himself, and I'm calling him out on it in public because be confident in who you are. No, we all kind of rallied around this one word, send. And so my wife just Googles, what does send mean? I think we all know, right? Like to order, direct, cause a person or a group to go in a specific direction, right? To go somewhere, which is what Jesus called us. Hey, we're calling you to go. School, work, home, wherever it is, you're sent. You are a person who is called to live like Jesus and love like Jesus regardless of where you go. But then it's cool, like slang term, like which the kids are saying these. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not that old, y'all. But in essence, the idea is this, the idea of full send, the idea of like going after something. And I love this one. To commit with full energy, excitement, or abandon without holding back, worrying about the risk. How encapsulating is that of what the Christian faith is intended to be? A faith that goes, I don't really care what it's going to cost me in this moment. I just want to be obedient. God, what do you need from me in this moment? And I want to be obedient in that space. That's it. And that's what he's called us to do, and that's who he's called us to be as a church. So over the next few weeks, we're going to talk about the values of our church and the DNA that makes it up. And then we're just going to go straight into, God, what do you call us to be? Now, what do you call us to do? Because I think if we become who he wants us to become, we will know what he wants us to do. I think sometimes we get it backwards. We create a checklist Christianity. Do all the right things and God will somehow love you. Wrong. Renee doesn't love me because I do all the right things. She loves me because she knows me intimately and I know her intimately. And God has called us to do the same thing. And out of that love for each other, we know what we're called to do. I know how she feels loved. I know how she responds in those spaces. And that's God's calling on our lives. Just know me. And if you get to know him, and I promise you, you'll begin to act like he acted. You'll begin to do the things he did. You'll begin to make impact the way he made impact. That's the calling of our lives. That's what Scripture is clear. And so I want to hang out in John 13 for just a few minutes this morning. John 13, 34, and 35 is kind of our core verse. It's what we kind of built all of these things around. It's the verse that struck us the most. John chapter 13, I want to give a little bit of context as you guys are flipping there, turning on your phone there. In John 13, it's the end of Jesus' kind of life. He's headed towards the cross. And they're having what's called the Last Supper. They're having this meeting up top in a room where Jesus is kind of laying out the last commands for his disciples. And he starts it off by washing his disciples' feet. He starts it off by serving first and foremost. So he washes all their feet, even the two who were about to betray him. One betray him to death, and the other one betray he even knew him. He washes their feet. And then after that, he sees Judas leave. He feels the weight of the friend that he has been walking with for years betray him. And after that, he begins to tell Peter, you're next. You're going to equally deny that you know me. Peter's like, never. I won't even let them crucify you. He's like, yeah, you will. And so we see now, we're getting to the end of it. And he's laying out kind of this command. Hey, this is who I want you to be. Verse 34, he says, a new commandment I give you, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also are to love one another. And by this, all of you will know that you are my disciples, if you have love one for another. Now, I want to maybe lay out the obvious. The obvious is this isn't a new commandment. In the Old Testament, God's clear. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love one another. Like love the outsider. Like God's clear. Like it's not a new commandment in that way. So then what changed? What changed was the context. Context is the Messiah is here. Do what he does. Be like he is. Context always determines expectation. If I tell you that snow is coming, all of the Southerners that are natural Southerners, and I love you and I'm glad you're here, will go panic. We used to watch The Lion Guard growing up, and the zebras in The Lion Guard have a phrase whenever something scary happens, panic and run, panic and run. That's kind of every time snow is mentioned in the South, that's what I see happen. We're going to buy the milk and the bread and whatever else you want to make. It's chaos. I'm from the North. I know, in case you can't tell. In the North, they say snow, and we go, cool. We're going to school tomorrow, going to work tomorrow morning. We don't care. Now, context determines the expectations. In the North, we have stuff to handle snow. Y'all don't. Y'all got your tractor. You know what I mean? I'll put a little skid loader on the front, and that's great. We have salt, we have plow trucks, like we're ready in the north. I moved down here and I was like, oh, it's gonna snow. I'm like, okay, cool. Throw some salt on the road. They're like, well, you put sand. I go, you put what? Sand, what's happening? What's going on? And it's insane. Now, a lot of times you guys get ice too, which is equally insane. Who gets ice storms? Anyways, all that to say, context determines expectations. Where you live, what you do, determines what's expected of you. So Jesus has now changed the game. I do expect you to love one another. I do expect you to love your neighbor. I do expect you to love your enemy, just as I did it. So now you're going to follow the method that I did, which is sacrificial, which is I'm going to come and love you well, which is I'm going to sometimes rebuke you, which means sometimes I'm going to challenge you and push you out of your comfort zone. All of these moments is Jesus going, just as I loved you. It doesn't mean I just loved you right where you are. It means I'm going to push you there. D.A. Carson says this quote. Go ahead and do the next one up. He says, no, one more. There you go. There you go. He says this, the new command is simple enough for a toddler to memorize and appreciate, profound enough that the most mature believers are repeatedly embarrassed at how poorly they comprehend it and put it into practice. In essence, this, I could teach all of your kids who are sitting back there today to go home and say, just as Jesus loved me, we can love one another. And I could get them to memorize it, and they could go home. You might even leave here today and go, okay, yeah, just as God loved me, I'm called to love other people. But we could all agree that in practice, that's not as easy as it sounds. Like, I don't often want to love people the same way. Let me go back to an example I used earlier. When we stopped at this traffic light this week, and Allie was like, I want to give my leftover food to this homeless guy right now. Transparently, I said, nah. I had to learn from my 11-year-old daughter that sometimes loving people looks different. She was being obedient to what God was calling her to do in the moment. She didn't care about her quesadilla and chicken and rice and cheese dip. She just goes, he doesn't have, I do, so I want to give it to him. She was ready to get out of the car on the middle of the exit to get, like when we go off 20, and I go, well, first of all, no, you can't do that. But I say that because, man, sometimes it's really easy, and I'm going to, listen, you'll get nothing else from me but transparently. I do not nail it 100% of the time, not even close. But here's what I will do. I'll always be like, hey, listen, we all jack it up sometimes. In that moment, I had to learn and kind of be reminded, it's not about, my job is not to define or determine what is appropriate or not. My job is just to be obedient. Her job was just to be obedient. She felt like God was saying, give that food. And I robbed her of that ability to do that. Because oftentimes, if we're honest, our jaded nature defines the expectation, not Scripture. Our jaded, but what are they going to do with, defines what we do rather than just being obedient in that moment. And all Jesus is saying is he never looked at people and go, well, I don't know if they're really worth me dying for. And Romans 5 is clear. While we were still sinners, while we were still separated in relationship with God, Jesus looked at us and said, you're worthy of dying for. You're worthy of giving everything for. And so I am now in a space where I go, okay, God, like I want to teach my daughter obedience. She's going to equally teach me obedience. So just as I have loved you, that sets the expectations going forward. Jesus is good at looking at us and loving us. 4 times in this passage, he says love, right? He says that you're called to love one another, just as I have loved you. You're also to love one another. This is how the world's going to know you're my disciples, if you have love for one another. All about to say, what does that mean for us? Well, that word love is a present command. It means it's an active command, right? Like not just love and be done, like keep on loving. Keep on chasing. So it's not just that let me love you once and be done with it. No, he's saying, hey, just as I've loved you, you keep on loving the ones around you. Just as I have loved you, how the world's going to know. Why? Because you kept on loving the ones around you. In essence, love is the identifying marker that the world's going to look at and go, oh, you're one of those. That's how the world's going to know that you're his disciple. Not because you came to a building today, not because you posted on Instagram a Bible story you read this week or a cool phrase. All those things are great, but it doesn't say the world's going to know you based on any of those things. What it says is the world's going to know you based on how you love people, how you love one another, and then outside of these walls, how you love the ones around you. It says the world will know. That's the marker for you. And Jesus looks at us, and what love looks like is not going, well, I am going to love you right where you are right now. I don't care where you are today. I'm going to love you straight where you are. But true love doesn't keep you there. True love doesn't go, I'm just going to deal with it. True love seeks to make each other better, to call each other out, to be in a space and relationship with one another close enough that I can say the hard thing to you. Jesus looks at us and says this, I love you where you are, but I love you too much to keep you there. I love you exactly where you are right now, but I'm not going to leave you there. I'm going to make you more like me day in and day out. Spend time with him. Spend time in his word. Man, me and Aiden had a conversation this week. And I said, hey man, how much time do you spend in the word today? He goes, like 7 minutes. And I go, cool. Do you feel like that is worthy of a relationship? How much time did you spend texting today? How much time did you spend doing X today? Like what you spend your time doing and consuming yourself with tells me what is the high priority for you. And so he went back and he sat and he read something. Like my job is to make Aiden, to make Allie, to make Adeline, to make my wife. My role is to make them more like Christ, not more like Chris. And so I'm going to push them to go, well, this is what Jesus displayed to us. What Jesus showed us was consistently pushing people down the field. And then he says this is how they're going to know you're my disciples. If you have love one for another. And that idea of will know, like this is how they're going to know. This is the proof, right? This is how they're going to see that you are my disciples. Because people will be able to look at you and go, that's one of them. In high school, I was not a great kid. Aiden and I were just talking about this a couple days ago. He asked me about this particular story, so now it's fresh in my brain. In high school, my senior year, I was driving my dad's convertible. Here's a beautiful red Mustang convertible, and he let me drive it around. His license plate was really easy to remember. It was just O Taxman. It was his branding. It still is his branding, just O Taxman. And so we rolled up to Rita's Italian Ice, which is like Jeremiah's, but better. And so we rolled up to Rita's after school one day, and it was right before we went to go play a Halo tournament at my buddy's house. And so we get there and we see this construction sign, this big orange construction sign. I think it said like Men at Work or something like that. And my buddies that were all in the car with me go, wouldn't that be cool to like put up in our room? And I go, yeah, it would. And so we take that sign, throw it into the back of my dad's convertible and drive off. I didn't say we were smart guys. I just said, just telling you guys a story. So we drive down the road and we're halfway to my buddy's house and we kind of look at each other. We go, is this legal? And I go, I don't know. He goes, me either. I go, I don't want to go to jail. So we throw it while we're driving. Unwise, guys. We throw it because the top is down. We throw it out of the car and we keep driving. I get to my buddy's house, Colby. We're all playing Halo. We're having time. Like my mom calls before cell phones, guys. So bear with me for a second. She calls on a landline to my friend's house. Y'all remember those? All right. So Colby's mom calls down. Hey, Chris, your mom's on the phone. And I go, I'm good. I'm like, I'm playing a game. I don't need time. No reason to talk to her. She's like, no, you should probably answer. And so I walk up there and she's like, you should probably come home now. I go, okay, well, I'll come home and finish this game. She goes, oh no, I'm sorry. You should come home now. I go, okay, so I drive home. They put me in the back of their car and drive me to the police station. I sit in an interrogation room and it's me and a cop and my parents. And I go, well, this can't be good. And he goes, did you steal a sign today? You think you're fun out there just stealing signs? I go, what? What are you talking about, man? No, I don't have any signs on me. He goes, no, I'm pretty sure. A bunch of witnesses saw your dad's license plates, O-Tax. It's pretty easy to track you. All right. So I go, well, listen, man, I promise you, it'll be back. You know what I mean? It'll be back. So he leaves and I call my buddy. I go, I need you to get down the road now. I need you to get that sign and get it back to Rita's now. The cops have me. He goes, what? Yeah. So the cop basically goes, you have 2 hours to get that sign back. I'm going to drive over there. If that sign's not there, I'm coming back and you're going to be under arrest. I don't know if he could have arrested me or not. I know I didn't want to find out. And so Colby goes, gets a sign, puts it back, I'm fine. All that to say, the reason that they knew who I was because the witnesses saw it and they were able to go, that's the guy. Can people look at our lives, look at your life, look at my life, and go, I can tell that person loves Jesus by the way they're living their life? Can they look at you and go, man, there's something different about that person? Can they look at our church and go, there's something different about that church? They just love each other well. They just love God deeply. They just love their community well. My heart is to have a church that goes, hey, we're going to care for each other deeply. We're going to love our community well. And all of that's going to be driven by our vertical love of Jesus first and foremost. I want to share with you guys a video that I saw this week. Now listen, transparently, this is a real moment for me because the guy who's going to talk in this video was on what I would say is the greatest show that's ever been created, which is The Office. And but he has had this resurgence of kind of exploring faith. And in this particular clip, he's going to spend about 60 seconds lining out why he loves the Christian church and how it shifted and changed everything within the world. So check this out really quick.
Never before in the history of humanity had a more diverse group of people gathered and been welcomed, loved, and accepted than those early centuries of the church, where a church service would include a Phoenician sailor, a Roman gladiator, a Jewish theologian, a former slave, a former prostitute, and they would all be gathered, acknowledging Jesus as the Son and the Lord as the Father, seeking grace, reading the letters of Paul and praying, singing, worshiping together, and all being accepted. That had never happened before in human history. Everything was tribal. Not only that, these early Christians sacrificed their time, their energy, their comfort, and their material wealth in service of others who weren't in their tribe. Mm-hmm. All those people would gather and they would go find a sick family of Samaritans and they would give them food and they would give them comfort and clothing. And the Romans wrote about it. And that's one of the reasons I believe that early Christianity was seen as such a threat to empire. But that diversity of love, that open tent, exemplifies the teachings of Jesus and the apostles.
Isn't that great? I mean, he's not even a Christian. But he's looking at the Christian church in history and going, this is what set them apart. This is what made the Romans nervous. Was they were looking at something who no longer was this little tribe, but rather was going, hey, all of you, come on. Everybody's welcome. We're just glad you're here. We just love you like Jesus loves you. And it shifted an entire empire to where they basically were like, all right, the only thing we can really do is just make it our national religion. Then we can control it a little bit better. Because they could see the shift coming. Man, what if we made an impact in our world that shifted an entire generation of people? It shifted an entire nation like that. Man, oftentimes I'm watching as people go, I love, and I've shared this quote 1,000 times when I've preached before, but Gandhi has always been known as this quote, right? I love your Christ, but I don't love your Christians because what? Your Christians don't look like your Christ. So what if we just committed to say, well, regardless of what it costs, we're going to look like Jesus. We're going to live like him. We're going to love like him. We're going to go into the world like he did. We're going to watch God do incredible things. And that's all he's asking. Hey, this is how the world is going to know that you're my disciples. How do we do that? Well, we can't be a people who are just known for what we're against. We have to be known for what we're for. And the way that we understand how that all plays out is simple. I've said it a couple of times already. That our vertical love for Jesus, our vertical love for God cannot be separated from our horizontal love for people. It's inseparable. Those two things operate in tandem. The more that I love God, the more that I see people in his eyes, not mine. I don't see people in a way that I go, I don't believe that one. I see people in light of who God has called them to be. And now I get this privilege to come alongside people and love them well and help them become more like Jesus, just like somebody in my life did it for me and somebody in your life did it for you. I can look back and I thank God for the men and women who looked at me and said, you're all right, but you need to be better. We need to shave some things off. I'm thankful for my wife who shaves the nasty parts off of my life and going, hey, you're kind of a jerk right now. You know that? Do you know you're a jerk right now? I'll often leave conversations with her and go, hey, was I nice or mean? She'll go, because I can be a jerk sometimes. Just transfers my DNA personality is like direct. And I've learned direct doesn't always equal like nice. And so how do you soften the edges? You get married to a woman who's very soft around the edges and goes, hey, you were a jerk. Settle down. Haley, how many times have I apologized via text going, hey, I was kind of a jerk today. I'm sorry. Oh, my bad. I'm not trying to be, but they're softening the edges. Are you allowing people into your life to soften the edges? To take the things that don't look like him and remove them to become more like who he wants you to be? I think if we're honest, that love that Christ has for us is a love that we display to others. And I told you I sling chicken for a living right now, and it's a blast. We have this guest, and I've told this story before, but it's unbelievable what God has done in this story. We had a guest come through when we first opened because we were, brand new store in Douglasville and didn't go super great at the front end, and a lot of angry folks, as they should be. And we, lots of apologies, lots of free chicken, lots of all the whatever, like here, please come back, please give us another chance. I remember that those first couple weeks, there had this lady named Sheila that came through. And Sheila would come through pretty much every morning, and she would get the same thing pretty much every morning. And when she came through, her order was consistently wrong every time. I mean, not like a little wrong, like we botched it pretty terribly. And I remember first time she came through, she's like, okay, well, I know y'all are new, but you need to get it right. I go, yes, ma'am. So it comes through again, and we screw it up again. She goes, now, Chris, you got to get it right. I go, yes, ma'am, I'm so sorry. She comes through a third time. We screw it up. I mean, I don't understand incompetence. I genuinely don't. But we were very incompetent in this moment. And I go, the order's easy, guys. It's all pictures. Just hit the picture. Hit the right picture. Order taking is not hard, guys. So we go, okay. All right. So she comes through the third time. And she comes to the window. She goes, Chris, it needs to be right today. It's never good when guests just know your name because they've come through and it's been so terrible. I go, yes, ma'am. I said, Miss Sheila, listen to me. Before I walk it to your car, it'll be right. And she goes, okay. And I walked it out there. I handed it to her. By God's grace, it was right. She said, thank you for taking the time to make sure it's right. Now, our team was like, she's such a jerk. She's so mean. And I looked at them, and this is what I tell, and listen, I have a lot of people who work at the store that are here, and I tell them this all the time. Guys, it's just chicken. They're not mad about the chicken. Nobody's ever mad about the chicken. They're mad about the inconvenience, maybe. They're mad because they had to get somewhere and you just slowed them down. They're mad because something else is in their life that you just disrupted. It's never the chicken. So in our job, it's simple. As a customer service, you look behind the smile and you try to figure out how can I best mitigate this situation that honors the guest and gives them what they need. And I say that because here's what I have learned with Sheila. I got that one order right. And I've made sure every time she comes through that her order is correct. What the team didn't know was Sheila's husband was battling cancer in that moment. And he was at Douglasville Wellstar. And so she would literally pick up the food, specific food that he could eat from Chick-fil-A, and she would take it to him. And the first day, she got the food, thought we would get it right, got there, he couldn't eat any of it. And so now we have disrupted what is normal for them. Just something they were trying to eat. The next day, she came through, we got it wrong, she saw it, she goes, I'm not gonna get it wrong this time. And so the third time when she came through, I just asked her a question. Sheila, why is this so important? I know we're screwing it up, but you get so angry every time. She goes, well, this is why. She tells me this story of her husband dying of cancer and all these pieces. I go, I promise you. That's why I said, I promise you, you will never leave this store again with the wrong order. Not for 1 second. I told our team that. So this is why this matters. You see her name pop up, you will make sure that everything that goes in her car is correct. That is a micro expression of love in the public workspace. It's just going, hey, I'm going to love you because you're going through something harder than I know how to even explain in this moment. Her husband ended up passing away a few weeks later. And they thought he was going to make it. He didn't end up making it. Do you know where she came the next day? Our store. She came and she asked for me. She said, hey, I know you were a pastor. We'd had a lot of conversation at this point. I know you were a pastor, so I want to share with you what happened. And I just sat and I prayed with her. I prayed with her son. I prayed with her daughter. And I just sat with them. I said, man, grief sucks, and I'm so sorry. I'm so honored to sit with you in this season. If you need me, if you need free chicken, whatever you need, I'm here for it. A couple of weeks ago, she had a situation where she fell pretty hard. She was at a point where she had to go to the ER, but she's the only one in her family who can drive. Due to some health issues with her son and her daughter, they can't drive at all, and so she called the store, and she asked for me. And so our manager on duty called me and said, hey, Sheila called you. Here's her cell phone number. I said, okay. Hop on the phone with Sheila. I hop on the phone with her daughter. Her daughter lays out for me what's happened. This is what's going on. Mom's in the hospital. We don't know what to do. And so we just happened to be here painting that night, as God would have it. And two of our ladies in that moment, Melissa and Hannah, said, hey, we'll go. We got it. And they go and they pick her up from the hospital. They take her home. The other one goes and picks her up, takes her back to the hospital the next day to get scans done. That's what micro expressions of love look like. She came by the store. I gave her, her neighbor, I gave everybody, whoever wants free food, I don't care. It's all free. It's all on me. And they go, why would you? I go, because I love y'all. And this is just a tangible way that I get to express it to you. Let's not overcomplicate what loving people looks like. All of us have a gift that we get to do. Something that we can only do. When my daughter was in the hospital, I've shared this before, we had people who were like, hey, I can cut grass. I'll just come over there with my landscaping company and we'll take care of all your grass and your bushes and all the stuff for you. And I go, okay. That's a gift that they know I can do that right now. I've got it taken care of. I'm going to come clean your house because that's what I'm good at. I can do that right now. Don't overcomplicate what love looks like. Sometimes love might just look like, I'm praying for you. And that's okay, so long as you're actually praying for them. Please do not go sending you thoughts and prayers and then never think or pray for them. Just don't say anything. Just be silent. It's okay to not say anything. There's not a right and a wrong way to respond in those spaces. Well, that's not true. There's a wrong way. But in those spaces, what can you do? I don't have any money. Great. You have a voice. You have a relationship with the same God. Use it. So when Jesus is saying this is how people are going to know, go sit in that hospital room. Go drive them to the hospital. Go do the things that God gifted you to be able to do and love them well through it. That's how people are going to know you are my disciples, if you have love one for another. How do we do that? Simple. It starts here. It starts with our relationship with God. If this is not right, none of this will be right. If this is not correct, all of this will feel disorienting. And so I just want to encourage you this morning, wherever you sit in the space, wherever you're struggling through or battling through, start there. Tim Keller said this, and I love this quote. It's one of my favorite quotes of all time. He said, when the world sees Christians loving each other, they see racial barriers crossed, when they see economic barriers crossed, and they see people who have nothing in common except Jesus treating each other like family, then they know that something supernatural is happening. Let the world see you cross the uncomfortable lines to love people well. It starts off by going, I'm going to cross the uncomfortable line of saying I need a relationship with Jesus. Or maybe it's just I need to be in prayer. I need the Lord to heal some wounds along the way. Whatever it looks like for you, man, I would just encourage you. Don't leave this place with a weight sitting on your shoulders. Leave this place free and ready to go and love as Jesus loved. So I'm going to pray for us. I'm going to invite our prayer team to come. And you guys, this is it. This is kind of how we're ending service. I don't have the last song. We're just going to turn on some music and you guys can leave or stay. But if you need prayer, can I just encourage you in this space? Don't leave without it. I'll stay down here. Craig's here. Remy's here. Let us pray for you. Maybe you just need a conversation about what Jesus looks like. What does a relationship with him look like? And let us walk with you through that season.